clothes out for winter. It felt right.
It's like the last day of school here
It
for the
is.
year. It's the
It
last stream of the year. Look at that,
It's
dude.
true. This is the last Adobe Live of the year. Is that true? Hold on. Let me check if that's actually true. Also, I'm sorry to everyone who just got double audio on that. I didn't know where it was coming from even, and so I was freaking out. So all of you got some pretty loud music on the double. So sorry about that. Um, Nick, it's the end of the
Yo,
year. What is happening?
uh,
What are all the
where did
things?
the where did the year go, first of all? Let's just ask that question. It's the last stream of the year. I will trust Wade on that. I
It is
believe
indeed the
he.
last stream of the year.
Wow, gosh, it's how did this happen? I mean, this was a very fast year, very fast season here as well,
It's true,
right?
yes. This is season number 12 for Office Hours.
Gosh.
We are continuing for a while. And Andrew, new lights. I did not get new lights. I'm gonna show you guys a little secret here. I just don't have my green screen on. And behind me, this is an old picture of my bedroom, and I usually have
Yeah.
my green screen, so it looks like I'm in a really cool bedroom, but my bedroom sucks right now. Um, all right, welcome back to the show. This is the end of our season. Nick, what have we been talking about this entire season?
Yeah, we've been kind of breaking all these myths that typical designers maybe told you over the years, or things like these are the must-haves, the must-dos. And we've been kind of breaking all these myths with off the record. It's kind of neat, you know. I think this
Yeah.
one's a big one because what a good one to hold for this kind of time of the year, while we're kind of breaking and schools are breaking as well. Let's talk a little bit about that. So that's been our season.
Yeah. So this is the end of this season, as we said, and I don't think it's actually season 12. I think this is season 6 or 7. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that we're like getting close to 100 episodes, which will be super fun. If you're just
Hmm.
tuning in for the very first time, Nick, what's Office Hours?
Yeah.
What do we do? And more importantly, what's our focus going to be next year for those that are going to tune back in?
Yeah, so if you found us and you're new, welcome, guys. I'm Nick. This is Andrew. We've been hosting this for over a year now. And the whole goal here is to give you guys an end of the week kind of fun spot to kind of hang, learn new things. We've been bucketing our episodes in all these great little themes. This theme has been off the record, where, like we mentioned, we're busting some myths. But we got a new one coming up first week of January, and it's called the Creative Basics. And
Yes.
yeah, we're going back to basics with a lot of these things to help you kind of either start off fresh and learn from these great things, or to fine tune yourself. You know, that I love our tagline, novice to no fear in less than 1 year. Doesn't get
Yes.
any better.
It doesn't get any better. So we're starting out with Creative Basics 101 is going to be our first session, and that will be starting at the first Friday in January. Second Friday in January? Second Friday in January. I think it is because we're off that first Friday. But Creative Basics 101 is going to be a few weeks. Then we're going to move into a highlight, and then we're going to do Creative Basics 202. And so it is not just one season. It is it is one season. It's not just like broken up like we
Yeah.
do. It is a whole year of a class for Office Hours. There's content. It's basically taking a college class with everything that you need to know about Creative Basics.
Yeah. Yeah. What TV show does that and gives you a whole year? Like 9 episodes of Succession? Come on, it's too little.
Yeah. Take that, Loki.
Exactly.
All right. This is episode 84 of Office Hours. So we're
We've done 84.
84, crazy. All right,
Oh my
and how do
gosh.
we pick the season theme? We work with Adobe and
Ooh,
figure out what
good
you guys
question, Kev.
want, and I think a lot of people chime in and tell us, and then we build on that. And Nick, where would people be telling us and giving feedback on the show of what they want to hear?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe a little area called our Discord channel, we're pointing to right now below us. Definitely check that out. That's where everything is. It's where we get to talk to everybody and kind of like hear great kind of insight as to what we should be doing. We post homework here. There were a lot of really great conversations happening over the last week based on when I believe Elizabeth dropped in the theme for today's episode, right?
Yes, and it was very
Great.
much a great conversation. And right here, question: what do you want to learn from Office Hours next year? Let us know. Put it in there, and we are definitely going to consider that and plug it into some of the content for next year. Again, we are not flipping around. We're not changing formats. We are going to be doing a course through the entirety of next year to help you learn and level up all of your creative skills. And if you haven't before, check it out. There is a classroom chat over here. If you've never joined, there is a way for you to hang out in the voice channel, to talk to each other, to give some feedback to Elizabeth. And today, especially, if you want to come on the show and give your perspective on design school versus not design school, you can do that in the voice channel. Just let Elizabeth know and she'll let me know, and we'll bring you live on voice onto the end of the show. So that'll be fun.
Perfect.
And hello, George Chow.
George from
South Africa. Wow. Nice to see you.
Welcome, George. What time is it where you are?
Right. Little bit of knowledge. I think South African is my favorite accent. I think that it is my favorite. It is just such a cool accent with so much like, it just like feels artistic. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, we've done enough talking. Nick and I, we haven't done enough talking. We've been enough talking that isn't helpful to you. Let's get into...
If only you heard the talking prior to the episode going live.
Oh, boy. Let's get into doing some talking about learning some things. And Nick, let's go ahead and talk about what we're doing today and what is the subject and how are we going to kind of approach it?
Yeah, so it's kind of design school versus self-taught here. Great topic to talk about right now because I feel like there's never been more of a time where there's been, I'd say, successful solutions and examples on both sides, right?
Yes.
Years ago, I don't know if a lot of people felt confident in saying they were self-taught, whereas now I think there's so many that it's such a good conversation to have.
It's like a badge of honor now.
Yeah, and let's just put the disclaimer out. There is no right or wrong answer on this. This is our whole idea of how we're going to present this to you guys is to look at it and find out what is right for you. If you are at that point of making this decision or even going back to maybe school and you've already finished, but you're thinking there's so many options now. So I think we just want to help you make that decision and see both sides of the situation.
Yep. And this is very much what Office Hours does is we're trying to help you discover for yourself. So we're going to be teaching you a ton of stuff next year, but it really is on you to level up, to learn those things, to put them into applications. Today, we're going to be your guides and help explore whether or not you should pursue or look into design school. And I think disclaimer, I did go to design school. Nick, did you go to design school?
Yeah.
Okay. So disclaimer, Nick and I both went to design school. But I think that
I teach. Andrew, you teach, right?
Yeah. I mean, I teach on here. I used to teach at a design school. Yes. I did teach at a design school. Yes.
I think the cool thing too is we have a great variety of both working solo, working for corporations, going to art school, and teaching art school. So you probably think our opinions are going to be pretty strong on one way, but I beg to differ.
I've told kids to drop out for sure. I've told students to drop out. I was like, don't finish my class, go drop out.
Yeah.
All right, so let's hop in and let's talk about some of the advantages to going to a design school. What are some of the advantages that we see as we jump in if we are deciding to go to design school?
Yeah, the first kind of take here is the fact that you're going to be exposed to so much stuff. It's up to someone else, the teacher, the professor, the other classmates, to bring things to your attention that you could possibly get into down in the future. So you figure out what you like and what you dislike based on the variety of work that's going to be thrown in front of you, right?
Yep.
Where I think if you were on your own, you're going to only gravitate to the things that maybe interest you, and you're not going to be pushed to try something that might feel foreign, but could work out to be the thing. I've seen kids go like, oh my God, the minute I tried packaging, because you threw in a packaging project, I know that's now what I want to do.
Yep.
So that's one of my favorite advantages.
Yep, I agree. And I think that this was something that I had to learn when I was in school was like doing projects that I knew were going to like make people mad or people weren't going to like, but I wanted to be passionate about it, right? That you're like, oh man, I'm gonna have to present to these people and I know they're not going to like it, but I love it and I'm passionate about it. So I'm going to go for it. And I think that dynamic grew some thick skin that if you are doing self-taught, I think the discourse between kind of standing up for your creative vision, it's harder to find that. It's harder to find someone to stand up to, I think, if you're doing the self-taught. And we do have a couple people in chat saying Gareth Williams is in his second year of design and innovation. Elizabeth is a senior in illustration. Congratulations. But let's keep talking about advantages. I think getting out of your comfort zone, obviously a huge one, right? I think being in design school has to push you. And if you're not wanting to present, if you're not wanting to uh, show your
Juggle five
work,
things at
right?
the same time,
Yes, you always
right?
get pushed out of your comfort zone. And
Yeah.
I think the biggest one, Nick, I actually think that this is probably the biggest argument, is the portfolio. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, and I know you're right. And I think it could also be the biggest argument on the other side because, again, if the person is self-motivated or self-initiative, you could do this on both sides, but your best advantage probably comes in being the design school road. You will build a portfolio. That is the number one reason you come to my class. 100% is it says right there, you're going to get portfolio worthy pieces in this class.
Yep.
So if someone else is steering that and guiding you along the way, and all you got to do is do the work and follow along that path, you've been aided by someone who has figured out the path to the next world for you, right? So that's why I think this is a big one when it comes to the portfolio power that you will get, because I think it's not to say you're on autopilot, but I like to make that's how I like to teach it. So if the kid is just doing the work, they're following the right path to build a really strong portfolio.
Yep. And I think the next two kind of go hand in hand. And I actually think that this is something that maybe might be an even keel between the two, is working with a
Yeah.
team and hitting deadlines. I think that
Yes.
you can find that team on your own if you're
They work
self-taught,
on
and you
both.
can make your own deadlines. I do think that it depends on how you want to learn. And we're going to get into that at the end of maybe discovering which you want to explore. But I think that
Yeah.
those could be advantages on either side. And then, of course, at the end, you get some piece of paper that like gives you a thing that like maybe people look at that care about. It's weird because I think that that's still supposed to mean something, but I don't know if it does.
I'm so in between with that one, man. As much, I think most people think I'm gonna have this opinion of like, you have to,
Yep.
that's a must. That's just how I kind of felt I needed to have something. I don't think if that is important to you and you have enough examples around you where you've seen people landing jobs or having a successful career without it, then that part doesn't matter to you, you
Yep.
know? One part about I want to mention about working with a team. I do know that when you push a class to do that, it's met with a lot of apprehensive, like kind of vibes, right?
Yep.
They're like, oh, I don't want to work on a team, or but I'm like, again, that's pushing you out of your comfort zone. If you are on your own and you weren't a motivator, I don't think you're going to be working in teams at all.
Yep.
And that is a big thing about the hiring process. We're going to share with you some questions we asked some friends of ours about hiring people with or without a design degree. What's more important is your ability to be in a team, to know how to represent a team, to know how to leave a meeting and take notes and all
Yep.
of those things. And I think school is the place that's probably to me the number one advantage it has.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you're going to get that on your own.
And we have Wade saying in our chat, cards on the table. I do not like the phrase self-taught. It's a classic misnomer. All information comes from a source. Mentors, tutorials, classes, written instruction are not of the self, all external. I like that.
Don't call me self-taught. There's our
Right?
next topic.
Exactly. That's it.
Wait, what would you call it? What would you
Yeah, what would you
substitute
call it,
with?
Wade? What would be a better term for that? I think it could be
I
interesting to
think
like
it's
start something.
to me, that's a great point. I think it goes back to last week's episode where we said, well, if I'm not going to call myself a freelancer, what am I going to call myself? A professional graphic designer.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
maybe that's your answer.
Yep,
Right?
absolutely. So
Same thing.
let's talk about. There's no way we're getting through everything we want to talk about today, but
Yeah, we
let's
will.
go ahead and talk about some of the disadvantages, and we'll just quickly go through these because I think like
Yeah.
we all know. So like it's super time consuming, right? You're like on campus. It's pretty much your entire life when you're going to design school. Weak technical skills. What do you mean by that, Nick?
Oh, so the idea here is that I looked up some information and I looked back at some of what we're seeing as a kid leaves our college. The idea here with the weak technical skills is the fact that we're teaching theory strategy so much that I think sometimes that takes the front seat, and what falls is it's not real world work like maybe the self-taught person is doing. So technically, you might be stronger in the programs self-taught than you would be in school. It
Yep.
sounds completely 180, but I think there's some truth to that as well.
I tell people, and no offense to my alma mater, but I definitely tell people that I don't think that I learned anything in design school. I think that I taught myself all of the technical skills and then was able to like put them into application and get the like social skills from design school.
Yes.
Because it was,
Yes.
we'd go into lessons and I'm like, I already know this because I was watching tutorials.
Yes.
And so it very much is. And I love the non-traditional or self-guided are what people are saying. I love that.
Self-guided is pretty a good one, I
Yeah, that
think.
was
Yeah.
Wade. All right.
Yeah.
So again, design school disadvantage. It's too subjective. It can kind of be yes or
Oh.
no. I like it or I don't. There's so many professors, and I would tell my students, I'm like, literally fight me on something. Like, I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
come in and be like, oh, I don't like it, and you just be like, oh, okay. Like, fight me on it. Like,
Yeah.
the professor's not the end all be all, and I think that that is a kind of culture of what design school is like looking
Yes.
to the professor, and you end up kind of becoming a clone of those professors, which is no good. um
Oh, and we should say too, there's a opposite to that. If you bring in some professors who bring in all the different variety of other designers and opinions and uh, you know, just taste,
yep.
there's an advantage here that I don't think you can get in the self-guided area, the self-taught area.
Yep.
So
And
again, they bounce back and forth,
yep,
you
and
know?
it's super expensive. Like, it's dumb. So yeah, it don't it's I don't money. All right. So continuing on, I do have opinions. It's funny because I taught at university and I went to university, and I think
Yeah.
that, like, looking back, I'm definitely on the side of like, it's too expensive. Don't do it.
Yeah,
Um
but I can
but
also argue that knowing the cost of our Cal State system,
yes.
it's kind of a bargain.
Yes. And I
So
think
and it won't put you in debt for the rest of your life.
yes, I think that there is, and I think this is my
Yeah.
advice to a lot of students, is like, do your first 2 years at, like, on your own,
Oh,
like, get to a point where you're like, okay,
community.
like, do community college, whatever, like, just get a base and then jump in to, like, the next level.
Yes.
Because 4 years of design school, I feel like either you'd be really, really good by the end, or like you don't
Yeah.
need 4 years. All
Yeah.
right, enough of my opinions. Let's talk about the Design School Road summary. These are some questions for you to ask yourself, Nick. What are we asking
Yeah.
ourselves if we want to go to design school?
Yeah. So are you only going to college because you want to or because of outside pressure? If I asked this question to me going into that, I would say yes. I knew growing up there was no other choice. My parents were like, "You go to school. You're going to school after this." Like that, and then that's embedded in me to the point where now it wasn't pressure. It was just my own pressure. I'm like, "Yes, I have to go. That's the only way." Like there wasn't another way. Like to me, it was like that was the only road. You don't
Yep.
self-teach, you don't self-taught yourself in this world. So I don't know. To me, I think that's kind of a question you got to ask yourself, because now, like, let's say you said yes to this, like it's only pressure. It might not be the right road for you.
Yep, exactly. And do
You
you
know?
think it's 100% necessary? And again, is it the right road for you? Do you have to have a degree? If you have the connections, if you think that you're skilled, if you think you have a journey to a good portfolio, if you have the network, you're like, is this degree going to do anything for me? I think
Yeah.
that that is a big thing. Also, I just realized there's like a T-shirt. I just had laundry
Yeah.
on the back of my chair.
Nice.
Thanks, everybody.
Ooh, here's a question for everybody that maybe has been looking at active jobs right now. Is the first thing being mentioned in those job requirements a degree in an appropriate field to the job, right?
Yep.
Because let's be honest, if everybody is asking you for this, maybe it should be. But the unfair part about it is, let's say you have not entered school, all the jobs are saying it should be there. How do you know in 4 years it's going to be the same story?
Yep, absolutely.
You're being asked to look into a crystal ball, and I think that's kind of unfair. I don't think I think, again, you can change someone's mind without a degree. I think you can still slay a job.
Yep. And then the
Yeah.
next one that we want to ask is, are you going to college just to try to see what you like? This is a great question. And uh, okay, so here's my disclaimer. This is a great question, and there are opportunities for you to take, like, intermediary classes that
Yeah.
help you figure out what you like. If you see any of that sort of thing that is taught by me, don't do it.
Yeah.
Because I have taught some of those, and it's a whole drama. But those do
Yeah.
exist. It is a fantastic idea, and I think that it could be good for you to find some kind of structure, some kind of extra school to help you figure out, give
Yeah.
you a little, like, taste of what you like to like.
Oh, and I think too, go to a community college first. If you're just
Yes.
trying it out, it's like testing out a new pair of shoes or whatever it is. Like you test drive it, make
Yep.
sure it's the right thing for you. Then you'll know, is the design part of it going to be an equivalent and you're going to want it.
Yep, absolutely. Yes, Elizabeth is asking, can we drop this PDF into the Discord so you all can have it? Absolutely, because there is no
Yeah.
way we're getting through it. Um, Nick and I are
I know
really great at
we're,
giving you
we're
guys tons of content that doesn't exist.
yeah, we're already
All right.
20 minutes in and we're like on
Yes.
page two.
Yes. And yes. All right. I was going to say other things, but I'm not going to. All right. Let's go ahead and hop in and talk about some of the self-taught advantages. Nick,
Mm.
number one, what's
Money
off
in
the
your
bat?
pocket. I think, first of all, you're probably working during this time. You're not paying these fees to a college. It's less money. I think that's number one. What most people probably, I talk, it's you and I talked about this too as well when we were reaching out to certain people on our community here on office hours. A lot of people were saying, I can't afford it. Just plain and simple.
Yep.
So maybe your decision is made for you. So obviously less money. The next one here, learning about the market industry better and quicker. And what this means is day one, not only are you trying to self teach yourself or being self taught, you've got your pulse on the industry, the market, the changing things as far as clients. You're and someone else is still 4 years away from figuring that stuff out.
Yep.
So you're learning about this stuff quicker.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, learning the essentials, and that's what's important. I think that this shameless plug, a great way to learn the essentials is to learn your creative basics all through next year. Again, if you have a good foundation, I think that if you understand the programs enough, literally everything else will come to you. Like you can just practice your way into being good if you understand the essentials and kind of the base level. And of course, the flexible schedule. It's great to be able to learn when you learn, how you want to learn. It's awesome. And yes, the last one, up to date with the latest technology.
Oh, yeah.
You may not have
Push comes-
access to like the newest gadgets, but the technology is always there.
It's also push comes to shove. You might have a deadline and have to figure something else with the self drive and the self initiative. No one's around you to help you. So you're learning shortcuts. You're learning great things about the applications and the technical things faster because there's kind of a deadline.
Yep.
In school, there's a buffer zone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the disadvantages to being self-taught. Where are we starting?
Yeah, well, lack of certification. Now, again, if that matters to you, then this is actually a disadvantage. On the flip side, if it doesn't matter to you, it's a void, right? There's nothing important about this certification. I remember getting the diploma, and that was quite a feeling, only because there were times I did not think I'd ever graduate. Like I'm just being real, So having it was great. Being able to teach, that was something obviously I needed, So again, down the road, are there other advantages to having the degrees and these certifications that will help you? Just a great question to ask.
Yeah, and I don't think that I've ever ran into the next one of being able to charge or ask more. I have a degree, and I don't think that I've ever used it to like get more from anyone. I think maybe in-house it might matter some places, but
Yes.
I don't think that it's a huge deal. But I do think the next one is lack of expert instructor advice. I think that's a huge disadvantage to the what did we say? Self-motivated?
Self-guided.
Self-guided, to the self-guided journey.
Now, that's not to say you can't find the mentor or the person that can help you along the way, but what's their commitment to you for that time period, right? Whereas you get that with your instructor, or you get that with a university, you get it with other students at that point too.
Yep. Yeah.
Like you're missing out on that whole thing.
Yep. And we've talked about this before, and this is just free advice for you guys to take and put in your stockings. If you are going to look for a mentor or an instructor and you are doing your own journey, be sure that you are clear in what you want from them and what the time commitment will be from them, right? You have to define it very, very clearly. And most of the time that could be a sell, right? In between like, hey, can you mentor me just like to be like a better designer? I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
Hey, can you mentor me to help me improve my portfolio and refine the way that I build out my brand systems? I'd love to meet for like a half hour each week and go over my portfolio. Great.
Yeah.
Like that's the pitch you need to make.
Yeah. I love what Wade said. He says, not once has anyone ever asked to see my degree before they've hired me for the job. For what it's worth, It's kind of a good pro tip. And I kind of know where you're going with that as well, because you could say it. Like I laughed, right? Like I laughed. I told my students this morning. The only time I've ever been asked for my diploma was to the school I got the diploma from to teach at the school that I got my diploma from. They're like, we need to see it. I'm like, you have it.
You
Like
have it.
it
It's
was
yeah, it's on your
like
file. Yeah. Okay,
only time.
so last ones that we want to talk about here: no restrictions, lack of discipline. Obviously, you have to be driven, and procrastination. Procrastination's the hardest thing, I think.
Ooh, I would have sunk if I did not have school, because procrastination is like in my DNA. Yeah.
Oh, I procrastinated, and I was in school.
Yeah,
I
well,
was
that's what I mean. Yeah.
actually
Oh, yeah.
I was
Yeah.
just talking to my roommate last night, who is a teacher, and and I was like, I had a class my senior year that I didn't know that I was in until like 2 or 3 weeks into the semester. I like just straight
Hmm.
up like looked at my calendar and was like, huh, I'm supposed to be in a class right now. I had just
Oh,
completely forgot.
those are
And
nightmares.
right. And so if I did the like self road, I literally would have never done anything. That's
Yeah.
the
I love
truth.
what Christelle said there. When you're lucky, you can have a mentor where you work, maybe a self-guided, need a structure. Maybe, you're right. I know, oh my gosh, that was a whole other world of education in your first few jobs. The mentor, the person next to you that can help you with these things and be that kind of leader. Yeah, that's you. It's a whole other level of education. It
Yep.
really is. Yeah.
And so we did our research as we do here in office hours. We are researchers.
Investigative reporting.
We bring you
Yes,
the
right here.
facts. And here's what we did. We reached out to our community, and Nick posted this poll. And most of
Yeah.
our communities on Twitter are designers, and so we got a lot of great feedback from them. Nick, do you want to talk about the results of this poll?
I know, overwhelming. If this doesn't tell you, the question was how important is a design degree when hiring a junior designer? We put junior because we're thinking that's where the degree is asked for, maybe the most, right?
Yep.
Look at the results. 2.9 say it's a must. 2.9. Okay. I love the flexibility here. 88% overwhelmingly said it depends on the talent.
Yes.
Talent number one. And talent, let's put in a bundle your work, your appearance, your coming to the meeting, your personality, your communication skills. That's the bucket, right?
Yep.
And then look at only 8% said not a chance.
Yep. And we do have a
So,
question coming in from chat that is a
yeah,
little bit unrelated. Sorry, you finish your so.
that was
That
it.
was it. That was the so that ended. Okay.
I don't think there's anything more to say. The chart said it all.
That's
Yeah,
true. This was the end of that statement. So
the chart said it all.
that's it. Just
Thank
the
you.
chart.
Thank
All
you.
right. So we have a question from Hugo that I think is an interesting question as we break kind of in between. Are local employment agencies a good starting point if someone wants to land a remote programming job? I think anyone in the creative industry, I think local stuff is
Yeah.
fantastic.
So a local placement agency is kind of what we're talking about there, right, Hugo?
Yeah, local
Like,
agencies. So if they want a remote to start in a local and then maybe move to a further away kind of remote.
oh yeah, I guess so. I'm seeing a lot. Every entry now says remote in parentheses. They're really using that. Let's face it. There's a huge amount of unplaced jobs right now,
Yep.
and they're finding anything to make it more appealing to you. I'm seeing remote on, I'd say, 80% of the job things in LinkedIn and Indeed.
Yep.
So, but a local employment thing, we have like a local one. I'm sure you've heard of like Creative Circle and all these other ones that I think they're in different main cities. But a place like that will really help you out. If you don't have the degree and the work is good, let somebody else do the prospecting for you, for sure.
Yep.
They get a
Absolutely.
cut. You don't have to pay them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And be careful working with agencies. Make sure that you have good contracts. Make sure that you are protecting
Oh
yourself.
yeah.
Make sure that like all of the things are happening. I've had bad experiences with agencies,
Yeah.
so just be
Yeah.
careful. All
Yep.
right. So especially local agencies, if you're in Riverside. All right. So over here, Hugo, welcome. I think that Hugo is actually new. You can join our Discord, and our Discord's a great place to get connected with people. And it looks like we just had a bunch of people come in. Maybe a tweet went out or something. Nick, what's office hours for all the people that just joined us?
Yeah,
What are we
it's
doing
our
here today?
Friday meetup. We talk everything about design, getting you better, getting you more established in your portfolio, great tips and tricks. Ending a season right now all about off the record and just debunking all these myths. And we're moving in, you're here at a perfect time because we're moving into a whole new one about creative basics. when we come back the first week of January.
Yep, absolutely. And Wade is saying shots fired. Yeah, somehow all of the people that I have beef with have come up in this episode so far, and I think I've done a really good job at not putting people on blast. I'm so proud of myself. All right. Let's jump in and get some feedback that we had from some of our friends over on Twitter to that question. And the first one we're going to start out with is our friend Paul Tranny, great on Adobe Live here. He has a good perspective. Nick, what did Paul say?
Yeah, he says, I'll take a degree because it shows they know how to complete assignments on time. But I first look at the portfolio. So again, if you've made it past the portfolio, hurdle, then Paul's saying, okay, degree is going to definitely be second place. But again, assignments on time, like if you've ran a successful freelance stuff while teaching yourself design, I think you can emphasize you are incredibly on time with stuff. So maybe that's a thing to pump up in your interview thing, in case someone might ask that of you, right?
And our friend Carly, who works over at the Seattle Kraken, I think has been on the show before, right? Carly's been on the show?
Yeah.
So Carly says, a great portfolio and personality are a must. A degree is nice to have, but it isn't a huge factor in my opinion, other than telling me you know the basics of design. I do think that is a big thing, that if I see a degree, it is a check mark that like they just understand design, right? Instead of having to prove it to me, I'm like, oh, you have to have got it. But you can also prove that with your portfolio very easily.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I love what Mickey says. Personality and portfolio, in my opinion, I just hired a great designer, a cool designer, that without an accounting degree.
With an accounting degree. With
an accounting. Yes. I was like, oh, that's even worse.
Right.
Oh, my God. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a great point. What if you have a degree, but it's not in design?
Yes.
Like, maybe that's a great, kind of way to get around it. It's like you have the diligence of school, but the talent of design.
Yep, and I think that there's a couple of people that watch that I know are in other industries that are learning design. And this is like, just know that I'm not doing the hard sell on Adobe, but I am going to do shameless plug, because if you are just starting out with design or you're in another industry. Thank you.
I love the reset head roll.
That's how I find my ideas. They're somewhere in there, and I just have to roll them. You know how like those labyrinths? It's like one of those. You just have to roll the ball into the right spot. So if you are just getting into the industry just somewhere else and not in design, there is a fantastic new program called Creative Cloud Express. It just launched this week. It is bomb diggity. It's kind of like what Spark was, but like better. And we've shown you some of this. We're definitely going to cover more of Express next year. But if you are in a different industry, you are trying to get into design, start with Express. There's no reason to not start here.
I've been messing with it on stories. It's a blast. Download that immediately. Play around with it this weekend. It will be your go-to before you post anything. I think you can just have some fun and personalize things beyond any other application. It's great.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. All right, let's talk some more about some responses that we got. And I think that these have some really good ones. Our friend Shane Helm, who is over at Unfold, who was at another agency before that, he has hired people. I mean, he's been top level. I look at the portfolio first. Next, I look to see if they bounce around a lot. Then I get to know the person. A great human with skills is what I'm looking for. I look at education last. So it is something, but again...
Could not word it better. That's so great.
Oh, dude. It literally, if any of you go to a conference like Creative South and have the opportunity to find Shane and talk to him, like, this is how he speaks. He'll, like, be quiet and then be like, I'm looking for a great human with skills.
Truth bomb.
It is so good and so eloquently delivered. What about Kevin?
Yeah, he's hired both. However, having a design degree is a kicker when all else is becoming equal. And I think that's right. Sometimes I would use it as the deciding factor, not where they went, but if they went. Because that's another thing to talk about, of the prestige of the school name, even if you've gone. I don't think it makes a difference. If someone's holding you to a certain level of education and the name of a college, you don't want to work for that person.
Absolutely.
That's my opinion. How
Yep.
about Mike?
And then we have Mike Jones, who works over at Aflac, also has hired a bunch of people. None at all. It's about the work in their character and how well they work
Boom.
with others on the team. But it does help get your foot in the door in a lot of places. I do think that that's true, that it does
Truth.
help to get your foot in the door. And I believe we had someone else say that if there is a recruiter that is looking for you, or you're like using someone to help find work, that may be a good selling point to a recruiter,
Yes.
is that you have that degree on the back burner.
Yeah. And that's another way recruiters will find you. I believe they get almost a list from colleges of folks that have graduated at a certain point, because all of my students, as soon as they get their diploma, they are hit up by all of these recruiting firms. So maybe that's an advantage in some way. You're not getting that if you didn't go to school, but hopefully you've networked better than a person that's been in school for 4 years,
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And let's talk about, this is going to be some hot takes, I think. Y'all are ready for hot takes? Get some spicy emojis in chat,
Let's
because
go.
we're talking about this. Design degrees. Are they relevant? Nick, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, ooh, it's so crazy. The thing I put here is that art schools are traditionally the 4-year ones are feeling the need to make a shift. Even prior to COVID, they were finding all these different ways to be more specialized and offering a bigger reach to the audience out there, because they have to change with the times too. And the reason they're doing it is literally this: all of the programs and coding boot camps, these workshops. I've taught a few of them, like at General Assembly and some of these other places. They could go highly specified much quicker and much cheaper.
Yep.
So if a place can hire you on this and see that you are self-driven, self-initiative, and you've done a few of these boot camps, could it add up to a replacement? I think so.
Yep.
I don't know how relevant they are. That's a really terrible answer.
Yeah, I think, this is going to be so spicy. So I think that design schools, especially, and a lot of creative programs, are almost like Apple in the battle between like Apple and Android, to where it is Apple like gets a feature and Android is like, we've been able to do that like forever. Is that it almost feels like, and I know that everyone probably thinks the opposite of like Apple's so far ahead, but there's a lot of like features that come to Apple that Android's like, we've been able to do that because we can just like mod stuff.
Yeah.
That I feel like culture and students and people who are wanting to be creative are doing their own thing, and then these programs are trying to like catch up with that, and they're like, oh, we can do like, we're doing VR now, and it's like, okay, that's been a thing for like 3 years. And so I think that it takes a little time for design programs to adapt to the latest and integrate it into their programs because of like accreditation and all the things they have to jump through. So I don't think that design schools are relevant. I think it's a matter of if they're essential. And the answer, I think, is maybe. I think that some are relevant, but then there are a lot that are still trying to catch up because there is so much red tape and the creative industry moves so fast and adapts so fast.
And if no one option is right or wrong for two different people, right? Everyone has a different approach. Everyone's coming to this thing to make this decision with a different background. All I know is, like, if you are in design school, don't let someone tell you otherwise, and vice versa, right?
Yep.
If you're not, don't let someone try to convince you the other way. Because I know once I have a kid in my class, like, oh, it's all hands on deck. You're gonna get everything you can possibly get out of this, right?
Yep.
That might not be the right answer for someone else who's coming, that does have all that drive and can do this on their own.
Yep.
So you're right. It's not relevant. It's, what was the word you used instead?
Is it essential?
Essential.
Yep.
Exactly. And I think the answer is obviously not in every case.
Yes. I love that. Like, obviously the answer is maybe.
We're being so like soft. Like, it's like, no.
And again, I think
there is no, you can't say yes or no, right or wrong.
Yeah, there's no wrong answer. And I think that there are definitely people. So, okay, I'm going to pull up some people. This is going to be my actual, and we only have a couple slides left, so I feel like I have time to do this. Okay, so here's my story. There is a student who I think has been on this show before. Maybe we've talked about, maybe not. I don't know. So this is Raymond Alva. Y'all go follow him on Instagram. It is just Rapberry is his Instagram. But Raymond, like, look at some of the work that he's producing, right? This is like really high quality documentary work. Look at these shots that he did for Independent. Right? It is like, put it in a photo book. It is so good. He's shooting campaigns. He's done solo shows. He's fantastic. He is a senior in college. So he is still in college and going through the program. I told him to drop out when he was like a sophomore. He was producing such good work that I was like, dude, I think you're good. Like, I think you're done. Just go ahead and call it. Like, get out and be done. Right? Gorgeous stuff. And so I told him to drop out because I didn't think that it was essential for him to have a degree. He has stayed in school and is now a senior, and his work has gotten even better. And now he's set up to like absolutely kill it. And so I'm like, I was wrong. It's so good that you stayed.
Yeah.
And so I think that it is that conversation of, do I want to try to go do this on my own because I think I'm good enough now? Or, oh, I'm going to benefit a lot from staying here, which is what Raymond decided, and he did it. Like, he has benefited so much by staying in the program.
Yeah, I think he got the best of both worlds in a lot of ways, where if he was already that talented in school, there's an innate thing that he's just driving himself to be better all the time. Then he gets the added bonus of being in school, and there's like that two-prong approach, right? We haven't even talked about that. There's almost a combination of the two. Talk about a superstar, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so we have a couple slides to keep going. I'm going to drop this link into chat so that you guys have it. You might get double audio for a second. There we go. There's my voice twice, and there's Nick. All right, here's the link for you there so you guys can go check out Raymond. And let's hop back in and talk about the last few things that we want to discuss today. Let's talk about some stats. We love statistics here on the show.
These are very interesting. The majority of designers working today have a bachelor's degree. It's at 32%. So it's the biggest component. You can see the percentages go down. But I think that tells you, don't forget, if you're actively working right now, this is a throwback to 15, 20 years of people where they could have graduated 10, 15 years ago when it was a must to have it.
Yep.
So what does this degree say much? But what it tells you as well is that 17% say they have engaged on online learning. That tells you a person has maybe needed to adapt or to add to their current, toolbox or level of expertise by having to learn. Maybe it was taking an XD thing or something. What a great way to learn something fast, quick, and cheap.
Yep.
Right.
And 10% have taken workshops or programs. I do think I love workshops. I'm
surprised that's not higher.
Yeah, I think it's really, really fun to get in and just learn something. And I think that I actually don't learn much from workshops. I think that it's like the recharge to get me going, right? That it's like inspiration. I'm like, okay, I'm learning some things, but I'm not like being taught. I'm able to just like take it in and be like, all right, I'm gonna go do my own things with it and try stuff.
Well, you go and you're more seasoned in a lot of things. And again, I think it's a great way to go to charge your batteries. I do when I taught a few. We taught 1-2 business owners that did know a little bit about Adobe and the Creative Suite, and we did a branding in a weekend. So these were people that came in that have a company, and they're like, I want to do it myself. They did learn, and I think they were able to take that with them. So workshops are great because it's how you approach it and what you want out of it. I love your idea. I would go to one now as a reboot and as a recharge. That's a great thing.
Absolutely. And only 6% have master's degrees. I do think that with design specifically, an MFA is the highest you can go. So Masters of Fine Arts, I think, is where design goes to. And that is like getting your doctorate. And so I don't think a lot of people get that unless they're going to teach. Like, I think that 6%, probably like all of them are teachers.
Yeah. And I should say, too, that is changing rapidly. I don't have my master's. I've been teaching for almost 10 years. The other thing that's great is that track record of 10 years could turn into part-time, full-time employment at one point without a master's degree. It's just creditable work that could replace that.
Yep.
So if you're thinking of that for teaching, that's changing as well. That's not relevant anymore. Yep. It's kind of crazy.
Absolutely. All right. So let's talk about how to decide if school is for you. How to decide? Okay. Sorry. I thought those went together, but they don't. How to decide if school is for you. Think about school if you, two separate things. I wrote these slides and I still don't know what they say. So think about school if you need structure to learn. If you are not going to create your own structure, if you're not going to set yourself up for success, you're out. If you love that and need it, then maybe think about going to school. If you need feedback, love input from others, school's the place. Like, even with Behance, even with being on Twitter, I don't think that like the internet is a good zone for getting feedback and input in general.
The internet.
The internet.
Yeah. Yes.
I think that design school is a major plus for getting feedback, getting input for others. Also, if you need a built-in network of creatives, I think, Nick, do you talk to anyone that is still that you went to school with that was in your design school?
Yeah. All the time.
Yeah, and Nick was in school like 40 years ago, so it's
we talk all the time. It's been a long time. I think that was the number one advantage for going to school for me, was the network of people that I'm still in touch with and we still compare notes with. It's always great to have that, for sure.
Yeah,
I instill that with them every day.
Yep. And I kind of do. My class was really competitive, and so we weren't super like networky. But we like kind of stay in touch. I stay in touch with my professors, but I also taught there for 8 years. So I mean, if you need a built-in network, could be great. And yes, Elizabeth, I am throwing Nick under the bus 100% for him being 65. All right. So the next one is think about school if you want access to new tech or resources. And you talked about this too, Nick, is that it might be good in school that it's adaptive and like future forward. But I do think, if you're on your own, you can kind of follow the wave. But schools often have like 3D printers and VR and like resources for you to use.
Yeah, of course. And it's not without the investment either as well. It's there for you to use and things like that, which is great. I've been seeing some schools with blowing our school out of the water when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So,
and you know what else has that kind of stuff if you decide to go on your own journey? The library.
True, right?
So our library, I'll go in and work there, and they have a full innovation lab, and they have a recording studio with an audio booth. They have 3D printers. They've got VR. They've got like everything that you could use to like look in innovation.
Rooms.
Yes, they literally have everything in the library. So if you have a library near you, see what their resources are, because a lot of them have these resources that you could get out of school, at the library.
I gotta go check that out.
Libraries are the best.
I keep hearing that the local library is just so like incredibly like adapted since the last time.
Oh yeah, come to the Riverside Library.
What a trip.
Nick,
I think you can rent equipment too. You can rent like GoPros and stuff like that.
Yep. Oh, you can rent laptops. You can rent everything. We need to get Nick out to Riverside. All right. Cool. Don't come here. All right. So next up, if you need built-in mentors to help develop you, then definitely go to design school. I think that would be a good idea.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. So Nick, do you want to talk about being self-taught?
Yeah, this is how to decide it. Are you personally driven? Are these things that you have? These are the attributes you have. That would be the best way to kind of consider if this is for you. Do you have the ability to set goals and achieve them? Oh my God. Like if someone's taught you this or you have this innately before kind of going off to design school.
Yep.
Wow.
Absolutely.
You're sitting in the driver's seat.
And we're going to do something a little bit crazy right now, just real quick. Peter, we're on live right now. Can I ask you a question and get your input to our audience?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. So everyone, this is Peter Del Tondo. He called in on the phone. We're talking about if you need a degree or not to be in the design industry to get hired. What are your thoughts on design school?
Yeah, design school was the biggest $30,000 waste of money I have ever spent. So no, absolutely do not need that. And yeah, if I were you, if I could go back in time, what I would do instead of spending money on design school is I would find somebody in the design field that I really look up to and that I would want to learn from. And I would take $15,000 or $20,000 of that and say, let me pay you to essentially be not your intern, but like your apprentice. And I would want them to teach me along the way. That would have been a much better use than paying for school.
That's such a good idea. All right. Well, thanks for calling in. I'll give you a call back after the show. But thanks, Peter.
All right. I'll catch you tonight, brother. Have a good night.
Bye. All right. So
a live call-in on a traditional phone. I love it.
That's what we do. I saw it ringing next to me, and I was like, Peter wants to be on the show. I was going to ask him for his opinion. So that's actually a really good idea. Is take the money that you would have had for school and throw it to someone to basically teach you. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Or the internship version of that could be getting slightly paid and getting the mentorship and the mentor in the same way, but getting a little bit of you are helping someone
Yep.
in a certain way and learning at the same time.
Absolutely. And we do have someone. Where are the red phones? My red phone's next to me over there. Someone does want to come on and give some perspective. I'm going to go through these last few slides just real quick so you guys can do this.
Let's do it.
Literally take a screenshot of this. These are resources. If you're deciding to do your own journey, here's some resources. Adobe Live, that's where you are. Daily creative challenges happen literally every day. Freelance and business and stuff. There is an online course. It is like literally the most fantastic way to learn things about business. Program tutorials, which are in your programs, Photoshop, Illustrator, XD. Nick, I think that you have one in
It
Illustrator.
Finally dropped.
Yes.
I have an Illustrator tutorial, guys. Look it up in the help section.
Yep.
I'm in the app.
Yep. And the last one that we have is Creative Basics, which is starting 2022. And again, this is the show that you don't want to miss. We're going to be going every Friday through all of 2022. And here's the lineup for our first segment. So this is every Friday, January 7th to February 25th. This is Creative Basics 101. We will be doing a 201 and a 301, but we're starting with base. And Nick, what are we doing real quick? Let's go through.
Yeah, look at it. We're going to be finding an idea. We're going to sketch out and do the layout for it. We're going to do the basics into Illustrator, starting the foundation. They're going to show you how to learn and make the logo, getting into Photoshop basics, how to retouch the photo, InDesign basics. That's where you're going to take over.
Yeah.
How to make a booklet. We're covering all the basics here and all the basics.
So we'll be going through the basic programs, Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, showing you a little bit about them. And then we'll be doing highlights right after this. We're doing a segment that is 5 weeks about logos. So we know you guys love logos. We're going to do that. All right. I'm going to hop over into Discord because we do have a friend. I believe Eric is wanting to come on and give his perspective. Eric, I'm going to pull you into the channel. I know you're a little behind. So here we go, Eric. I'm pulling you over. Hopefully it's not delayed. We have 5 minutes. Let's bring you over. Hi, Eric. Hello.
What's up, Eric?
You're hearing us in Discord and probably on the stream as well. But if you want to unmute your mic, I'd love to get your perspective. Elizabeth said that you had a government military's perspective as well, which I think would be really interesting. So if you want to unmute your mic here in Discord. Oh, there we go. Hi, Eric.
Hello. Sorry, I just had to actually turn you guys down and.
No problem, man.
Chat.
Yes, it gets chaotic. Okay, so what is your perspective? I'm actually really interested.
So my perspective comes from the world of deciding what to do after high school. As a lot of people said that they had 3 years high school, but I went that route and then looked at college, saying really didn't want to get into $100,000 in debt for going to Full Sail, and I wanted to still do broadcasting and design and be a creative. So I looked to the military, and they had their programs of public affairs.
Wow.
So going the trade school route in that sense, where I enlisted, got trained in the basics, got that baseline, and was thrust out into the field, and all the on-the-job training that kind of came with it, and being mentored while, they all said, all right, here's what are the basics you need to know. And now we're going to tell you, forget that. You know the rules. We're going to break them because we want to create engaging content. We want material that catches the service members' eyes, and we want them to actually learn and walk away with something. So this is how you do it.
Oh, that's great. And I love that you explored other options, because I think that, everything we've talked about was this or that. And what your experience was like, why not both? Like you kind of got the whole package and found a way that worked for you. And I think that that's awesome.
And that's after the military, then it came out with the GI Bill of saying, all right, now go get back into civilian life, and using that knowledge that we talk about, like the benefits of, self-taught or going to the school. Well, now the government is paying me to go to school. So what do? I know I'm going there for the networking. I know already how to use all the programs already. So what am I going to do?
Wow.
Yep.
Great stepping
Learn a
stone.
little bit of the perspective and the theory, and figure out why I was told to do the things I was told to do. And now I can, be my own self-taught creative, using that network capability to network into internships, which turned into jobs that when I graduated college, I was working an internship. The internship took me, and the department I was supposed to be working in said, he's a bit too advanced for what we want him to work. And they gave me to their corporate office and said, hey, can you do anything with him? And I ended up working on content from their corporate to do some of their massive global campaigns of, creating animations and making videos for them.
That's awesome. And
That's
I love
wonderful.
that, like, we talk so much about the idea of like, oh, you get school and then you go get an internship and like get on the job experience. I love that you flipped it. And I actually think that's really interesting for a lot of people that are looking and thinking about school. What if you didn't? What if you got an internship and like got some real world experience, right? What if you were an apprentice and then eventually went to school, right? You figure out, okay, cool. It's like try to learn this on the job and then go to school and like fill in the gaps. And I love that you like flipped the equation on that, Eric. That's awesome.
Yep.
Well,
And I feel it's a great way to tie that if people do also want to go the military route. I'm not a recruiter, but it does kind of fill that sense that you can be creative and also be patriotic in that sense and still tell a story.
Yep.
Eric, I have a student that did the exact same thing, very similar. And then he just graduated at design school, and his first job placement, he might be moving to DC to work in the government in one of the design teams. And it was like just perfect timing. That's wonderful. Yeah.
That's rad. Thanks, Eric. We have to end the show, so I'm going to kick you back into the classroom chat. But thanks for joining us.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right, bye. All right, so just like that, you guys saw Office Hours loves to bring you on live. We love to hang out with you and include you in the show. And the best way to do that, again, down here in the Discord, discord.gg. Nick, we are out of time. It is the very last show of the year, the last 2 minutes of Adobe Live. I think that I'm just going to let us get cut off and get the band hammer because it feels right for us for the end of the year.
Why not, right?
What advice do you have,
last
Nick?
Second.
Take it away. What do
Oh
you got?
my God. Pick your path and just run with it, whatever it is. If it's the self-taught route, if it's the school, no turning back, just do it. Don't forget, people have made success stories with worse situations, harder things, you name it, whatever it is. You're going to make it. It's no problem at all. Just stick to the course you go with.
Yep, absolutely. My advice to you all, 2020 is going to be a different year. It's going to be new. It's going to be interesting. Yes, there's a ton of new stuff coming from Adobe. Office Hours is completely new structure. We have Express that just came out. There's going to be all kinds of new tutorials, but also in life, January is always a great part to start over, right? Start fresh. And we're going into the holidays. Hopefully you guys have amazing holidays. I'm going home to spend the holidays with my family, which is going to be amazing. Nick, what are you doing for holidays?
Yeah, all here during the holidays with the family, and then trying to squeeze in a few little weekend trips, man. Got to get out of town.
Yep, absolutely.
Everybody have a great holiday. Thanks for sticking with us all year, and can't wait to see you in 2022.
Yep, so we're ending with the band hammer. It's probably going to happen right now. We got about 30 seconds. I'm just going to keep talking. But yeah, I hope you guys all have a great time. I hope from Office Hours that you've learned a bunch of stuff this year. And I hope that going into next year, you're excited and will help us promote and share for the new year. So, Nick, any more thoughts? We have to get the band hammer. It's the only way to end this.
I know. Yeah, New Year's is coming up too. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. That's going to be fantastic.
Oh, I love New Year's.
Like Andrew said, take the January 1st as that incredible spirit to go.
Band hammer, we're about to get it.
Boom.
Yes, we got it.
We got it. Yay.
All right. For all of you watching the replay on YouTube, we were waiting to get kicked off of Behance. All right. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye, y'all.